What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Stella Herself podcast. And this is a special episode if you're watching this, and I mean also if you're listening, but this is the last podcast I will ever do in this apartment, and for now at least in LA. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Thank you so much to everyone who shared the podcast last week and who's been watching and listening. I've been brainstorming new ideas for the upcoming year and what I want to do with my podcast and how I want it to evolve and grow. And I just feel really excited. So thank you to all my OGs who have been here supporting, over the past year and even since before that. It just really means a lot to me to have your support, and I would not be inspired to continue doing this if you guys weren't there. So thank you so much. Anytime someone sends me a message with their thoughts on something I discussed, or sends me a link to an article or a TikTok where you thought of me or thought about a topic, or comments, or post it on their story, tweets me a screenshot of you listening or watching, that just means the world to me. And I feel like because our community is on the smaller side, it's that much more meaningful, because I feel like I know some of you, a lot of you, just on such a more personal level. And it's just so cool to see, familiar faces and names in the comments and in my DMs and stuff. So just really wanted to take a moment to thank you guys sincerely. This year and part of last year were the first years that my podcast was really consistent. And I feel like this year especially, where I just noticeably, at least to myself, notably, should I say, made changes in my podcast and just improved it. So I'm hoping I can continue that same energy and expand that energy into 2023. Not that this is a New Year's episode, but I just really wanted to thank you guys. It's been a journey for sure, and I'm just excited to keep going. So this is my official announcement podcast. I am moving out of LA, y'all, and it's so weird because I keep expecting, we're just diving right in. I keep expecting to feel more nostalgic or even sad or just anything, and I just keep not feeling that. And I think that's just a sign that I'm really ready to move on. I have a vlog coming up. I'm hoping it's like a sponsored vlog, so I'm hoping they approve it soon because I kind of need it to be in order. But in that video, I also talk about moving and stuff, so some of these things might be similar. But something I did say in that video was that I've been thinking about this for the past couple of years. When the pandemic first happened, beginning of 2020, my lease that year was up in June. So June 2020, I think I had to give a 90-day notice. So 3 months in advance, I had to decide if I was leaving or not. And I was really considering leaving LA at that time just because everything was shut down. And I was like, bro, why would I continue to pay rent in a city where I can't really take advantage of the benefits of living in a big city? But I just did not, I talked with my parents, we went over me moving back home and stuff, and I just did not really feel ready to leave LA. It wasn't until the following summer when I went to New York that I was like, oh my god, yeah, I need to get out of LA. It's so much more my lifestyle here. Then I went there right after I had re-signed a lease, because it was same, it was in June, and I literally left a few days after I moved into this apartment, if you guys remember. So with my lease being up beginning of December, I was like, that is perfect. I can go back home for the holidays and for, winter, then make my move to the East Coast after that. It just makes so much sense. It's just flowing. And I mean, who knows? I doubt this will happen, but who knows? I could change my mind, whatever. I doubt that's going to happen. But with this plan, I just have so much flexibility in what I can do. I can travel if I want. I will just have the freedom to do that. And I think just with the pandemic and everything, that just put such a stunt on so many things that I could have been doing, that so many of us could have been doing, especially as far as traveling goes and whatnot. And I'm just so excited. My parents are getting a new puppy, literally days before I get there. No, a week. Around a week-ish before I get there. And I'm just so excited to be in that grind mode, end of the year, beginning of the year inspiration, you know, the vibes. I'm so excited for the holidays. Just work, gym, be in nature, spend time with family, spend time with the new puppy. You know, my parents have a cat. Like, it's just gonna be a very, like, I don't want to say like relaxing time, not that it won't be relaxing, but such a good, like, just let me focus time, you know. And I just really feel over LA, and not like, oh my god, I hate LA, but just very much ready for a new chapter. Like I said, I keep expecting to feel more nostalgic or even sad about leaving, and I just don't. The truth is, most of my friends are on the East Coast or in different cities around the world. I don't really have that many friends left in LA, and I just feel like I've kind of gotten everything out of this experience that I could have. So this past weekend, I went to the beach. I went to Santa Monica as like a little solo day. I made a little reel TikTok of it that might already be up, I don't know, but I did it just because that was an area I spent so much time in when I first was traveling down to LA a lot. And I think it was like for a month, I stayed like a block away from the beach. If you guys remember those vlogs, so triggering, like literally. But I just have so many of my first memories in LA there. And even like before that, like, bro, the first time I ever came to LA was like in 6th grade with my family, and we stayed, then it was called the Hotel California, but it's right on, what is that, Ocean Boulevard? It's basically right in front of the beach. I remember watching, that was when like The Billionaire by Travie McCoy featuring Bruno Mars video first came out. My sister and I were watching it on the TV, on MTV. And I think was it Wrecking Ball? Or I think Wrecking Ball was after that. Was it Can't Be Tamed? I feel like it was some Miley Cyrus video was also like came out at that time. It might have been Last Friday Night by Katy Perry. I don't know. But I just remember watching those, going to the American Girl place for the first time, and just like loving it there so much. Like playing on the beach, my first time in California, that's just such an iconic memory. So I just really wanted to go back there. Not that I haven't been back there since either of those times, but I just wanted like a last like solo beach day. Not even a beach day. Like I was planning for it to be cold, and like I bundled up. I brought a blanket. It was hot, which, I mean, not that I'm complaining, but I was like, oh, I should have been more prepared for like a beach day. Like I didn't even bring like a swimsuit or anything. I expected to feel so much more nostalgic, and I just didn't. Like as I was walking, I just was remembering like all the people I'd, you know, been in that area with throughout all the years. And not that it was like so overwhelmingly triggering, but it was just like, it was more so like, ugh, and not like, oh. So I don't know, like, and again, it's not like I'm leaving LA because I just, oh my god, it's such a horrible place. I have so many bad memories here, but it's just like it's kind of like that vibe of like when I left my hometown. It's like, it wasn't like, oh my god, I hated my hometown, but it's like you have to leave a place in order to appreciate it sometimes. So that's not to say I will never be in LA again. I will never live in LA again. Like, who knows? But at this point, I just feel so ready for the change. Like, it's really crazy. I plan on doing a Q&A on my channel once I announce everything on there and like on IG and stuff. But just some quaint things I wanted to discuss. Pros and cons of living in LA for me over the past 6 years. I would say pros, the weather, obviously. If you are in the entertainment industry, there's just so many people also doing that. I've just kind of found, so maybe that's a con for me, that's not really what I'm interested in. Like, I had a moment, you know, when I first came to LA, I was like collaborating with so many people, and like even my first year fully living here, like 2017, I feel like I was around a lot more YouTubers. But as I kind of grew up, I don't want to be around people just because we do the same thing. I want to be around people that are like have the same values as me and that are just genuinely good people. And I just feel like because the entertainment industry is here and so many people want to do social media and all those things, like a lot of them are annoying. I'm sorry. Like, and there is that certain vibe, and I'm sure it's not just in LA, I'm sure it's everywhere, but I feel like it's definitely concentrated here just because the entertainment industry is here. people will use you as a prop in their life, whether that's, oh, a girl wants to be your friend just so she can have another pretty girl to go out with and like get in places. You know, someone wants you to be in their video, but they're not going to pay you but just because you look good. And then just the whole vibe of like everything being based on that. So many girls on TikTok especially have come out with stories of, you know, clubs not letting them in but letting their friends in. I mean, that bullshit happens in every major city, but shit like that, it's just like there is that very superficial vibe here. And so I don't know, I'm like already going into cons. I feel like it can be difficult to maintain solid relationships out here because of that. And then also just because everything is so far. And especially if you don't drive. Bro, even if you do drive, there's traffic. It's so hard to make plans with people because people's schedules are different. You live, you know, in areas, it's just so hard to like do anything. Yeah, a lot of people bullshit. I feel like that's just people in general though. But I feel like the more, you guys know I've been like on this journey of, I don't know, healing. Ew. I just feel like everyone says that, like it's so overused. But I have been on this journey of self-growth, discovery, healing. And I just feel like the stronger I am in myself and my own values and boundaries and what I like and don't like and what I will tolerate and what I will not and the types of people I like to be around and those that I don't, the more isolated I feel. I mean, that's the case for like anywhere, but I feel like just because so much of that growth has happened here, it's like, bro, I need to get away from this place, you know? Like, I need a fresh chapter because I feel fresh in myself, so I need my surroundings to reflect that. I just remember having such a, and I feel like I talked about this last year, such like an excited, passionate, inspired feeling when I would be in LA, or like I just remember always when I would fly, like when I would go back home or go on a trip and fly back into LA, and all the times I visited LA before moving here, just feeling that way, like flying over LA when we were about to land and just looking at the city and feeling so excited. And for the for the past year and a half, I just have not felt like that. I felt like, ew, like just exhausted by it, over it, like, oh my god, everything's so far, like just the thought of it is exhausting. It's like, bro, I don't even go that many places. But like that's part of why, you know? I feel like this place could be such a better place to live. Like people could have such a higher quality of life, like everyday people, normal people. But because I guess like the railway system, they are expanding it, but it's just like, yeah, public transportation really isn't like amazing. It's such a car-centric place. There's so much traffic, and instead of like, you know, building more railways, they're just building more freeways and more lanes. So the air quality is shit. The roads are not maintained. Everywhere is just so far and spread out. Parks are not maintained. Like there's such a horrible homeless crisis here. How do y'all feel about using the word homeless versus unhoused? Because I saw this podcast clip on it where this girl was like, bro, when I was homeless, I did not care if people called me homeless versus unhoused. And she was talking about how it was like basically the same word. Like you're just like rephrasing it. So how do y'all feel about it? But yeah, it's such a crisis. And like, it's really horrible because it just shows like how unsupported, you know, mental health is. And bro, it's just such an in-your-face reminder of like how shitty this society is and like how the government is, and like it's just horrible. And there's just so many public spaces that really can't be used. I feel like that's a problem in the United States just in general, you know, but it just sucks here. I just feel like there could be so many better public spaces and parks, and like bro, we have the weather for it, you know, but instead like everywhere's just kind of gross. And I'm not saying that in like, oh my god, like the unhoused people are ruining everything. It's like, no, the government is not like taking care of people, so therefore these people can't use this because these people have nowhere else to go, and so like nobody wins. I just feel like my quality of life is not really that good here. And I mean, maybe it is because I don't drive, so I just don't go to places that easily. But it's like, bro, even for people who do drive, you have to fucking sit in traffic. You have to drive mad far. gas is crazy here. So it's kind of like you don't really win either way. Honestly, shout out to me for getting through 6, almost 7 years without a car, because I mean, like, we're gonna have to face our fear one day, but I just feel like it reflects like so much of our culture. People just trying to maintain a certain image. And again, this is not an LA specific thing. I feel like a lot of it can be concentrated here because of the entertainment industry, but it's like, it's everywhere, especially with social media. But people just like lying. Like, people will go to the club with like the nicest shit, have nice ass jewelry, maybe even have a nice ass car, but then like it's like all a lie. Like they have no home, they are like the worst person ever. Sorry. It's like, so that's also like disappointing. It just shows like the values in our society, you know. All the major lessons I've learned in life have happened here, so it's kind of interesting. I just am really curious to see how I will feel about this, or if I will feel nostalgic later. I'm sure I will, bro. And my mom always talks about like, oh, like if I'm ever complaining, she's like, bro, like, you're gonna look back at this time like, oh my god, like, I had, you know, I was like living by myself, I had my own space, I didn't have any kids, you don't even have any pets to worry about, like, enjoy this piece. I feel very excited. Like, it's just the first time in so long I felt so ready and so sure. I was looking back at some of my old vlogs just again to see, well, first I was looking to see if there were any old pictures of me on the beach, and I just couldn't find anything because I feel like I deleted a lot of pictures in 2016 because that was before you could archive. So it's like if you wanted to get rid of your pics, you had to delete them. So SMH. And then at that time too, I was backing up all my photos onto Shoebox, and then my account got deleted. Or no, all my pictures got deleted on iPhoto or something. It used to be iPhoto back then, I think. So that's then when I started uploading all my pictures onto Shoebox. Anyway, there's just not that many old pics. So then I started looking at vlogs, and I just, like 2016 vlogs, and then I just started remembering, like, this is why my vlogs were so poppin' at that time, because it was like, I mean, for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons was it was like exciting to watch. And, you know, earlier when I was talking about that feeling of excitement and inspiration I would get flying over LA and how that kind of left, I now feel that way about New York and just about the East Coast and just like traveling in general. So I'm just really hoping that like I'll feel that same inspiration and like excitement, because I just feel like that's really not, I just haven't really felt inspired over the past few years. And it's like, bro, then what am I doing here, you know? So yeah, that's my announcement, y'all. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna do a Q&A, and again, like, probably post a main channel video explaining and moving vlogs. We're gonna road trip back, so that's gonna be super fun and just like good content and good bonding time. Bonding time first, okay, but then content. Also, something I was thinking about is like I was literally that thought process. Like, I was like, oh, like, I don't know if I'll vlog it, so like, just so I can spend time with my dad. But then I was like, bro, like, part of what's so cool about all the times I vlogged, or like, even if I didn't vlog it, like, hi guys, but I just like montaged it, it's like we have that to look back on. So it's kind of like, that doesn't mean I'm gonna film every moment ever, but like, for monumental events like this, like, bitch, yes, I'm gonna film that. Like, what? And yeah, thank you to all of you who have just been so supportive. I feel like a lot of you saw this coming, and I chat with some of you all in my DMs, and like, I've gotten advice on finding an apartment and like all this shit. So thank you guys so much. Like, it just feels so good to have that community, you know, of support and literal like helpful info, and then also just in vibes, you know, that like that mutual excitement. And I just feel like some of you have been on, like, watching me. Y'all have been with me for so long. You've seen me through so many different phases, and it's just so cool. Like, again, like, love our community. Oh, also join the Discord if you haven't, but we be chatting on there. So it's actually about to be Sagittarius season on Tuesday. So this weekend is the last weekend of Scorpio season. The shift from Scorpio season and its supremacy to Sagittarius's means a new dynamic shift in energy. As we emerge from the depths Scorpio has put us in and reheat under Sagittarius's warm and courageous influence. Under the new dynamic, the pace of life is changing, and any hesitation or distraction of the past is lifted. All systems are tuned forward. Living under the influence of Sagittarius for a month, we will all desire to be much freer and step out of our comfort zones because we instinctively realize that life means so much more than what it is now. Sagittarius season will support us to be brighter, more optimistic, and relaxed in our approach to the future and to get rid of everything that is holding us back. This is beneficial end-of-year energy as everyone automatically thinks about what the new year will bring, how it will end, and what plans to make. What have I been saying about this time of year? I love this time of year. It is a time of optimism. It's a fire sign, so we're gonna have fun, bitch. We're gonna have, just a fresh perspective. It's gonna definitely feel a lot lighter than Scorpio season. And yeah, just that new, fresh energy, that new inspiration for the new year. Starting to feel that. And yeah, just like enjoying the holidays, I feel. Let me know if you're a Sag. How does it feel to be a Sag? If you know any Sages, if you've ever dated a Sag, what has your experience been? Water signs are like my main thing. And it's so funny because all my best friends right now, all my closest relationships are, besides my parents, are water signs. Something so interesting is like, because I never am romantically interested in fire signs. And it's not like, it's like, oh, you tell me your sign and you say you're a fire sign and I'm like, oh, I'm not interested. Like, it's just like, I find, like, I'm interested in someone and I find out and then they're like a water sign or an earth sign. But of the fire signs I have, like, I wouldn't even say dated, but maybe like entertained or talked to, they've all been Leos. I had a crush on a guy and he was a Leo. And he had a crush on me too. So it was just so fun because we would just like compliment each other. So what I was gonna say is like, I always thought a Sag would be my favorite fire sign, but I think it's Leo, and not like because I'm a Leo and I'm like, oh, Leos are the best, like whatever. But I just feel like Leos are so easy, bro. Like you just compliment them and like that's it. Like and Leos are just really fun. Like I feel like Leos, and okay, this literally is supposed to be about Sag, but let me just say this. Like I feel like Leos, like in my experience with other Leos, like they're almost like Cancers in the sense that I feel like they have that almost like, I don't know if it's quite nurturing, but it's like they're very good hosts. And I would like to think of myself as a good host. I mean, I do have a lot of Cancer in my chart as well. I feel like Leo men, like they're very like fun and like generous, and they do have that very like giving like vibe. So with that being said, so like I love a Leo. I would date a Leo. Like I would. I just feel like it would be like so easy. With that being said, I feel like a Sagittarius I also really fuck with. Never romantically. I've never dated a Sag, but I have had friends who are Sages, both girls and guys. And again, they're just always very fun, easy to get along with, at least in my experience. And I think I used to say they just have this down ass bitch energy. Yeah, it's like that optimism and just good vibes. It's easy. Aries as a fire sign, I don't know. I feel like they're a little too much for me. And I feel like a lot of Aries can low-key be, I mean, some obviously can be immature. I mean, you could say that about anybody. But I feel like with Aries, like they're very like, a lot of them anyway are very like short-tempered. I honestly think, because I'm still watching The Sopranos, y'all. I'm on like the second to last season. I feel like Christopher is an Aries. People say Tony's an Aries. I do not see Tony as an Aries at all. James Gandolfini is a Virgo, and I could see Tony as like a Leo Virgo. Like, I don't know, like he just seems a little more grounded than an Aries. Like Christopher to me is like the ultimate Aries. Like I feel like he's an Aries with like a lot of like Pisces or 12th house, like, I don't know, influence, because he just has that really, like he has that almost like childlike or like immature vibe, and he just will act like so like suddenly and like not make rational decisions. And I mean, I guess you could say that about Tony, but I just feel like Tony's more like thoughtful in what he does. Like it's more like thought out, whereas Christopher will just like do something because he's mad and he just does it. And that to me is a lot more like Aries. But then he's like, oh my god, I just want to write my play and like be creative and like do drugs. So it's kind of also giving me Pisces, but it's like maybe he would be like a Pisces. I don't know. He'd have some kind of Pisces in his chart, in his big three. And I feel like Adriana's like a Leo or a Sag, honestly. Anyway, so that's like an Aries example to me. But yeah, I've never been close friends with an Aries. I mean, I've like had friends that are Aries, but I've never had like a close friend that's an Aries, and I've never dated an Aries. I mean, I think I've gone on a date with one, but it like didn't go anywhere. So like, it's just not really my vibe. Like, I want like, if it's gonna be a fire sign, it has to be a Leo. But like, I want it to be like a water sign or like an earth sign. Air sign, it's just like, it's too unrelatable. Like, sorry. So let me know your experience with the Sag down below, and what's your favorite fire sign? If you don't say Leo, I'm not going to be offended. I really don't care. I just wanted to say, so disappointed in Drake for his dragging of The Innocent. Bro, this is the thing. Like, I really was like, that pissed me off. Bro, he dragged Ice Spice, the Meg Thee Stallion thing. And I know, it's kind of old news at this point, but bro. And then Serena Williams' husband. It's just really, like, it's not even like, oh my God, how could you do that? But it's just really disappointing in this, political climate, especially where there's just such I feel like a rise in misogyny. You have all these male podcasters who just hate women. Our rights are being taken away. I mean, he did make a verse about that, but it's like, babe, it doesn't really make up for it. Also, you never even posted anything about this, so like, I don't care what you have to say at this point. It's like, at least he said that, but like, so to just like, to add on to that, bro, when there's so many of his peers that have literally done bad things, that like have done SA, that have done things with underage girls, I'm just always like, how do people forget that about Kodak Black? Like, and I just feel like these guys like don't ever want to speak up because they're scared something will come out about them. So it's just easier to not say anything. And it's just really disappointing, bro, I just used to be such like a Drake stan. Like in 2015, and like, I'm not saying, I don't listen to his music anymore, but in 2015, I posted a lot of weird things on my feed back then. Like, that was just a more like free for all time. But like, I posted a main in-feed photo of Drake on his birthday, and I said, happy birthday, Drake. Like, yes, it did match my feed and my aesthetic. It wasn't like random, but still, I would not do that now. And I feel like also, just as I have learned more about, I don't know, people's issues and like psychology and gender roles and patriarchy and like why people act the way that they act, it's kind of like, okay, Drake, like, you need to grow up. Like, there was some kind of tweet about like, oh, Drake only sings about girls he wants, like, that he's pursuing or that have left him. So what does that say? And you're attacking a man who's married, like happily married, and they have a child, and he's like supporting his wife. And that's the person you choose to like drag and call a groupie when you're the fucking groupie. And when you used to be at her shows until she stopped inviting, or her matches until she stopped inviting you. It's just like, ew. And it just goes to show, bro, like, you can be rich, you can like have the most clout in the world and have everyone wanting to eat your fucking ass, like, literally, and still be an unhealed person. And that's just like what I see. And I feel like, bro, I mean, so much of it is normalized, especially in music and stuff. Like, there's so much like misogyny. It's like a joke at this point. Like, it's like, LOL, when you go to listen to it and you just have to ignore the misogyny parts. But it's like, I don't know, something about that, just I felt like deeply disappointed in like a personal way. Does he have a P.O. box? Can I send him The Will to Change by Bell Hooks? It's like, bro, like, you could just be making such a positive influence. And that's not to say you have to like start a feminism podcast, but like, you could be using your medium to like inspire other men, and especially all the young men that are listening to you, to make the right decision. You're literally gonna be like 50 and like not married. And bro, the thing is with guys like that, it's not like they wouldn't get married because they're like trying to make a statement against like, oh, the nuclear family and like expectations and gender roles, and like they're not getting married because they like, no one could like stand to be in a relationship with them, and they have like deep commitment issues. Drake looking at you. And it's like, yeah, okay, I don't know him personally, I don't know his life, but it's like when your lyrics are reflecting those kind of values of like, or lack of values, should we say, you could be doing so much more. So many people are so disappointing. I was literally thinking about this, like I've been thinking about this, probably talked about it before, but it just seems like so many things are a scam, bro. Like, it's just so rare to think of someone like nothing's real. Like, everyone who is successful, they got to that point. Most people, because they like lied, scammed, cheated, like that's like what works, you know? Like, you have to do that. It's like, ew, like nothing's like my goals. Like, everything's like so fake. Or like people that are successful, quote unquote, are so like, yeah, upholding these like patriarchal, like this like hate of women. So I guess like what I have to take away from that for myself is like, okay, like if that's what I want, is to see more people like, I don't know, being, and I mean, I'm not even specifically talking about Drake in this instance, but if what I want is to be inspired by people who are ethical and who have strong values and who do the right thing, and I don't know, who are good examples of like self-healing and love and self-knowledge, then I need to practice what I preach, and I need to be the person that I wish I had, you know? So that's what inspires me to keep going, is to not be a piece of shit. You'll think someone is so cool, and then it's like you find out something about them and it's like, oh, they're actually not that at all. Our society is built on scams. Have you heard of Christopher Columbus? Like, I'm just saying. So be the change you want to see, bitch. Like, and it's hard because so many times, in so many instances, that's not supported. But you just, like, what helps me is just being like, okay, I want to be a role model for myself, you know, like for my past self, for my future self, bitch. I want to make myself proud. So it's like, just do the right thing. Like, fuck. So practice being honest today. If someone asks you to hang out and you don't want to hang out, you don't have to make up an elaborate excuse. You can just say, sorry, I can't. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about today. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tea of an announcement. Let me know if you want a Q&A video, and definitely look out on my main channel for vlogs of the moving process, and TikTok and IG for Reels, TikToks, short videos, short contents. And yeah, let me know what you want me to talk about next week. Love you guys so much, and I will talk to you then. Bye, everyone.